Thanks everyone so much, and thanks to all the students who have contributed to making this event take place. This is a huge undertaking, and we here at Lafayette appreciate it very much. I'm going to talk about an installation that was created by me and with a lot of help from other people called Knee Deep and Rising down at the Williams Visual Arts Building, which is just down the hill from here in the Grossman Gallery. But I need to talk a little bit about an event that occurred, or a few events that occurred, that gave me such pause that I had to create a work of art that dealt with it. And that was a flood that occurred here. Actually, 3 floods that occurred here in Easton and along the Delaware River a few years ago. They're called 100-year floods. The idea is an event that catastrophic happens about once every 100 years. Unfortunately, an event like that happened 3 times within 18 months. And it caused a lot of people to think, what's going on upstream? What's going on in terms of how we're managing our water? How are we building? Is overpopulation taking place? Is the earth heating up to the point where we're really having a problem with water? And are we paving too much so that water runoff is becoming a real problem? There are all kinds of questions, none of them that were really answered, or can definitely be answered in terms of what the primary cause is, or what this group of causes might be. But as you can see, it caused great devastation to many people who live along the river in Easton. And the Williams Visual Arts Building, where the Grossman Gallery is, was one of those buildings that was affected by the flood, along with many people who live right in the area. This is right across the street from the Williams Visual Arts Building. And if you notice, there is that's about a 30-foot expanse that goes from the arches down to the riverbed. A day after the flood, this is what it looked like. And this is after it's come down 6 feet. And I could actually get onto the road that the river had been coming over so that I could actually take a photograph of that devastation. So again, pretty devastating. And this is the Williams Visual Arts Building right across the street where I spend a good amount of time every week. So as I was affected by this, I realized that many other people were affected much more severely. I got to go home at night to a dry home where people had been ripped out of their homes and lost everything. So it made me really think about things. So this is what happened to our building. Water, we opened up the doors, let the water come right through to possibly create less damage. We got about 3 feet of water, a little bit less than 3 feet of water. You can see the water line here. This is actually standing inside the Grossman Gallery. Water came up that far. We had to rip out all the drywall 4 feet up. We had to sanitize the entire building. We were out of commission for about 3 months, and that happened a couple times. So it really caused pause. This is our building from underneath, looking at a quite tranquil river. And that's the dichotomy that exists in dealing with water. I mean, water is like fire. We can sit in front of a lapping stream or lake and watch the light come off the river and be completely mesmerized, just like sitting in front of a campfire, and feel quite relaxed and comfortable. And at other times, it can rage and destroy everything. So I found myself in this place where I wanted to articulate some of those ideas about what water can do to us on both ends of the spectrum, as well as try to make people at least consider metaphorically how we as a species are affecting the planet, or at least questioning that situation. This is a statement that I wrote a number of years ago that deals with my art in general. And I'll read it. But I seek to convey the absolute brilliance of circumstance and contingency. When successful, the viewer becomes aware of the fragility of the moment, realizes the miracle of our predicament, and bends to the fascination of pure experience. Now, hopefully, that's a tall order, right? But hopefully, when a viewer comes in to view a work, they get transported, transcended away from their daily existence, their daily experience, and move a little further on to something that's still part of them, right? But is also beyond them, so that they connect to the world on a larger plane. So I decided I'm going to do this exhibition called Me Deep in Rising. And I'm going to involve footage from the river, different experiences of water flow, and I'm going to make it an audio-visual experience that is audience participatory. People are going to need to be involved in order to realize this work. They're going to have to become, partners in the creation of this work. And I really need a lot of help, a lot of technical help. So I called up Noah Vaughter, who is a good friend who's from MIT. It's his second MIT reference today. Noah is at the Art and Media Lab at MIT's PhD program, specializing in sound art. So I asked Noah to come down and take a look at the space, look at the videos that I had created, and help me think about how we could turn this into a really dynamic exhibition. The reason why I knew Noah was because I read about him in the New York Times a number of years ago. He had created this wonderful thing called the ambient edition. And that's a little device that's about the size of a Walkman, if you know what that is, or an iPod, right? But instead of having a memory chip, a memory card in it that has music, it has a microphone attached to it and a processing chip that Noah wrote some code for. And this is this incredible thing that takes the sound around you, real-time sound, as you're walking around with this thing clipped to your side. And it takes all that sound in and it loops it, it manipulates it, and it turns it into this real-time audio experience, which is your world, but it's beyond your world at the same time. So I'm going to play a clip from a London tube station. Can you play that? So this is not any music or anything. This is just the sound of the station as heard through ambient edition. So imagine you're walking through the station, and this is what you're hearing. And then as the train comes by, it gets more intense. People's conversation as they walk by change things up, and new sounds come streaming in and then fade out. I read about this, and then I heard it, and I thought, this guy is doing something that I would love to be able to do on a visual level, and maybe we can work together to make that happen. So what we decided was to bring together, to build these screens that would capture the video that I had created. I had created 21 different video segments from the river right below the building, right? From the most calm to me throwing my video camera into the waterfall above the river so that this turbulence was caught on tape. And every once in a while the camera would come up for air and you'd get this vision of like the sky or something, and it was almost as if you were drowning, right? So these screens were translucent. They would capture some of the video, but at the same time, they were on wheels, and they had these little LED lights on them. You can see there. And those LED lights were being observed outside the gallery by a camera that had an infrared lens on it. And when seen by the computer that was taking that information from the camera back to the mother computer behind this whole operation, you could see the different LED lights of the screens that were being tracked. So the idea was assign value to the relationships of these screens and let the audience move them around. When the screens are very wide apart, you get a very low assignment of number, which would tell the computer to play the video that was most calm. And when you pulled all those screens really tight together, the video that would play would be the most aggressive. And that's, a very kind of gentle metaphor for maybe overpopulation or chaos, things like that. So we needed someone to write that code, and we asked Haruki Yamaguchi, who is a student here at Lafayette, and his professor, chair of the computer science department, Chun-Wai Liu, to work on this project with us. So Noah, myself, Haruki, a band of others, all collaborated to put this together. Now, the audio part of this was the quirkiest, funniest part, which goes along with its creator, who is Noah. We created this little microphone system with a little machine under it. If you notice, this is a little doll that Noah found on the streets on Canal Street in New York City. And we hooked up the motor so the doll's little feet would paddle, and we rested this little contraption in the river right underneath the building. Now, the only way that the doll would splash his feet was if a signal came down to the river, to the little motorized component here, that told it to splash its feet. And that would happen every time a car drove by in front of the Williams Visual Arts building and the Grossman Gallery. So there was this wonderful connection of activity in and outside the gallery on street level, having an effect on things happening underneath the building. And there were microphones inside this that actually took that information in, sent it back up into the gallery through a quadraphonic sound system and through Noah's ambient addition. So it had this great combination of things happening. These are some examples of what the screens and the walls looked like as the video was being projected about ground level, up and across. And the viewers that were in the space moving the screens around were also enveloped by all this video and this sound. Now, the only way that things would change was if the audience became involved and started moving those screens. We also had a dance troupe come and perform a choreographed piece prepared just for Music and Rising. That was the Lehigh Valley Performing Arts High School, which was a fantastic thing for me to have this dance troupe work within an installation that I had created. And if you notice in some of these images, there's a prompt on the back wall, or on all the walls. It says, three things. Don't just stand there. Do something. Move something. So if you were in the gallery and you're walking around going, oh, this is all this video. This is pretty cool. Well, it would prompt you to say, don't just stand there. Grab a screen, move it around, and see what happens. And by doing this, I was actually empowering the viewer, we were empowering the viewers to become an active participant in this exhibition and engage the exhibition in a way where they started to actually play the art. They were playing the art. The art wasn't playing them. And that's something that I love to try to do as much as possible. This is an example of the reception where people were starting to move screens around to give you a little better feel of what was actually happening in there. You can see how the video is moving across people, and as they start to move things, the screens change. Way back.
Monitoring all of these screens and showing the mapping relationship of their proximity to one another, and that's semi-true. So when based on their relationship, that value changes and it sends a signal to the computer to change the screen, the video.
So that gives you a general sense of some of the things that you might encounter as you look through or walk through the environment. And this is the dance performance. I'm going to shut up and just play this for a minute and let you indulge if you don't mind. Again, this was choreographed by the teacher and students from the Lehigh Valley Performing Arts High School. And their choreography didn't involve the prompting. So they had to break from their dance if they were told that they had a movement. So there was this wonderful play back and forth. They were playing the video and the installation, the music installation was playing them as well. outside of the gallery. But this is a good example of how it really sounded inside the space as Anthony in addition manipulated that sound coming through. And the choreography dealt with some of this movement back and forth through the room that mimicked some of the foliage that was happening underwater that was part of the footage as well. So, wonderful dancers, a wonderful opportunity in a moment. Again, just to stress this idea that as we walk into a space, and this is kind of hit on by a number of different people today, our wonderful speakers will come so far, I'm sure who will later on in the day. This idea that we're empowered and we can actually change things. We are products of action and change if we want to be. Is something that I hope this installation at least gave rise to for the audience. So that they're not just passive, not just a passive audience, but someone more engaged. Now, the funny thing about this exhibition was that a couple of days after this performance happened, and they did a couple of performances, a couple of days afterwards, we had another water event. It didn't flood anyone, it wasn't that high, but it was high enough that it came through underneath the building and ripped out our poor little doll that was floating below. And I had cabled it really well, so I was pretty, I was at first upset, and then I just started laughing. I was like, well, there you go. There's only so much control we have over things, and we have to be cognizant of the fact that we are actually just members of a much larger place that we only have so much control over, and we have to have respect for that and work within those larger organisms in this world to make things work for us. And again, appreciate every moment that we can and be as active a participant as we can in that. Thank you so much.